Yeah, hello guys. My name is Patrick Mensa and I will be talking about R programming. So what is R programming? R programming is a high-level language and an environment for data analysis. R was created by two statisticians called Rose Ihaka and Robert Gentleman at the University of Auckland in 1991. So R is actually basically used by data miners, researchers, statisticians, biostatisticians, and many more for data analysis. So why should you switch to R? It is important to know that if you are very convenient with using Python's data or whatever programming language that you have in analyzing data, then you don't need to switch for R. But the reason why you should switch to R is to take advantage of its unrivaled coverage and the availability of cutting-edge applications in fields such as the generalized mixed effects modeling and generalized additive model. Also, most people, including chemists, physicists, statisticians, researchers, are reporting in the context of R, and it is important to know what they are talking about. Also, the quality of backup and support available from dedicated wizards, online research assistants in R who are already eager to answer any question that you have pertaining to R. In R, also, you can also write your own functions. And then last but not the least, R is free. So you need, before you use them, you need to install R and then R Studio. So this is the link for installing the R. But it is important to know that you need to install R first before you install R Studio. And when you open this link, this is how it's supposed to show here. So by doing that, if you are using Mac, you click on download R for Macs. If you are using Windows, download R for Windows. Then this is also the link for downloading the R Studio. So if you are using Mac, you also do the same thing. Windows, you also do the same thing. Now let's look at after installing the R and then R Studio, how it looks like. So this is how R is supposed to look like when you install them. I just want to clear this thing. So here you can start typing here, and this is the console. You can type anything over here. You can program everything over here. But however, when you close it, you lose every information. So this is where you have to use the R. Here you can use R script, and then you can use R Markdown. If you want to use R script, you click on this button. R script is here. If you want to use R notebook, if you want to use R Markdown, you can use all of this. And then R Markdown is very important to use them when you want to save your document and submit it to anybody else to run them. So here I've written this in a script. This code is in a script, and then these are the same thing in R Markdown. So, but basically they are the same thing. The only difference is that you just have to instruct it to, either produce the code or not produce the code when you want the output. And then in R Markdown too, you can knit. There is this knit button here. You can knit it, and then it's going to give you a PDF file. So basically that is that. So now let's start with R. So after doing that, this side is the global environment. Any variable that you create, it goes here. So here I've already told you how to install R. This is the website. R Studio is also here. Now for example, if you want to read a table can be an Excel table or any table that you want to read. So if you want to do that and you don't know, this key is to tell you this code is to help you to how to read a table. So let's run this one, and after running it, it's going to tell you how the table and everything. We will talk about this as time goes on. If you want to learn how to do ANOVA to run this, you press Command plus Enter, and it's going to show you ANOVA table. It describes everything over here, how to use ANOVA table and everything. If you also want to use linear model, fitting a linear model to, you do that, and then it's going to tell you the codes and everything. What's the linear model? How it's what is done. We know a linear model has to do with regression analysis and stuff. We will talk about all these things as time goes on. Now, if you forgot the name, if you forget the name, you can use any of this. For example, if you want to input data, what kind of input data are you talking about? You can use the help search function to do that. So here, you click on help search data, you just type it, and then you run it. And then what do you want to do? Do you want to create a data input? If that is that, you click on this, and then it's going to show you how to do all this kind of stuff over here. That is basically if you don't know what you want to do. If you want to also learn how to do linear model too, you can do this, and then you check what linear model everything is done, the variables it's created, how everything was coded. Everything will help you on how to go about it. If you want to also use a generalized linear model too, if you need help from that, you can also do that. And then it's going to help you to know how to set a seed and then do all this kind of stuff. We will talk about this as time goes on. So this is just basically the introduction. Now, if you want to find functions that tells you what package something is located inside, you can use this one. So for example, the lowest, what's lowest, where, like what is lowest? So you can just find lowest, and then you realize that it's a statistical package. You use generalized linear model too. It also tells you the same thing. And then you use linear model too. It also tells you the same thing. I think I'm using the listen, let me use the arrow script. So now that is basically the same here. Now you use the apropos function. The apropos function tells you the name of the list of the names of the list, the search list that you want to find. So for example, if you want to find the apropos of a generalized linear model, what are the lists that you can find in a generalized linear model? You run this one, it's going to tell you that you can find the residual GLM, the prediction, the GLM fit, the GLM, so many things over there. The same thing has to do with the apropos of the linear model. So you do that, and it's going to show you the names of all the search lists that you want to find. Any of them that you want to use, you can also do that. Now let's look at how, for example, let's look at how a linear model works. So in the linear model, we can just run this one and see what it is showing us. You can see that when you run a linear model, it tells you the residuals, the minimum of the. We will discuss about what a generalized linear model is and generalized linear model. We will talk about that. Here, the residuals, it tells you the minimum, the first quantile, the median, the third quantile, and the maximum. Then it also tells you the estimates, the standard errors of all the variables, and then the t-values, and it also gives you the p-values to tell you whether the variable is a significant is significant for predicting the independent variable. So and then it also tells you the overall p-value over here. We will discuss all of this as time goes on. So now let's look at how some of the useful things R can do. So let's do this. Okay, all this things can be done by linear model. Now let's look at this one. Here, okay, it's telling me to enter return. So put it here. Return. Okay. So you click the return, and all of these things R can do this. We click the R can also do this. R can do this. R can do this. R can do this. We will learn all of these things. R can do this. R can do this. R can do this. Okay, so now let's go to the graphics. So let's turn on the graphics. So to type return. R can do this. R can do this. R can also do this. R can do this. R can do this. R can do this. R can do this. You know all these things. R can do this. R can do this. R can also do this. Now let's look at this one. This one to 10. Now let's look at it. R can give you all of this, all of this. We look at all of this. I just want to make sure you see what R can do. R is basically doing so the magic and everything. So, and then let's look at the plot. So what R can also do regarding the plots. Okay. Okay. I mean, it's basically telling you the whole lot of stuff over here, but it's just not a plot. It's just the all of this going on. Now, let's look at how to install the packages in R. R basically has a lot of packages, so many packages, but these are the packages you're going to do. So for example, if you want to use a ggplot2, ggplot2, it helps you to plot graphs. It's very good in giving you graphs in terms of pictures and everything. We are going to talk about all these things as time goes on. So you need to install it because it's a package. So you use this code install package ggplot2, or I have already installed them, so there's no need to run them. So you install all of this. You don't need to install every package. You install the package that you need, and after doing that, you need to remember to call for the library. After you have already installed it, you have to call for it before you can actually plot the graph. If you don't do that, it wouldn't work. So you can call for this, and it comes here. So survival analysis tool can also do that, and then the SOR listen to library tool helps you to get so many data in survival analysis. We will talk about this later. Now let's look at data editor. So the data editor, it helps you to look at the data and then know what you want to do to it, how to select the variables, how to remove some of the values in some of the variables. Like for example, if you have an empty data in a variable, you can you have to visualize it and then see what you can do over here. So you run this one, and then you can attach the bacteria data. The bacteria is found in the mass library. So you look at it. Now let's look at the bacteria data. You look at the bacteria data, and it's all over here. So out of this, you can select any of the variables. If you have empty variables, any values, you can just remove all of this kind of stuff, and R can help you to do all of these stuffs. Now, to see what you have created in the current sections, you use the object function. Now, let's look at how it works. So it tells you everything that you have created in this section. Now, to see which of the which packages and the data frames that are currently attached, you use this one. So you see all of the packages attached over here. That is, most of them have I already ran them here, so you can see the bacteria is already here. The SOR package is already here. So all of these are libraries. So with time, you will know, you will understand everything, and everything that you do when you create the variable, it comes in the global environment, as I have already said. Now let's look at a way Now, when you create a variable, you need to make sure that you remove it after you have run the code. So like, for example, when you create any variable, in order not to conflict everything in the future, you have to remove the variable. So for example, when we create a variable, I will show you how to create a variable. So for example, we create this variable, fillant, and then we show the fillant. These are the values over here. Fillant is here. Now, after you do, like for example, you find the mean, the standard deviation, and everything for fillant, and you don't want to the fillant variable to have conflict with everything that whatever you want to do in the future. You can remove it, and we use the rm function to remove it. So you use that, and then it get removed. Now let's see whether we can find fillant or not. Let's see the magic here. You see that fillant is not found over here just because we did the remove function. Now let's look at the attach and the detach function. So basically, when you the attach function is to help you not to repeat the data when you are running a code. So for example, if you are finding a linear model for some variables in a data, and you don't want to call you don't want to be calling the data almost of the time, you can use the attach function, and it keeps it over there until you detach it. So you can see that the detach function does not mean a data frame will disappear. It means that the variable within this data frame, example, the area, the slope, which are not accessible directly by the name. So for example, the word phones, you can attach it. So you attach it. Maybe probably it's supposed to come from here, but I mean, okay, so let's look at it. The word data, so the word phones, so you can see everything over here. Whatever you want to whatever code you want to run with it, you can run every code that you want. But after you have done everything with it, you can detach it. When you detach it, then it means that any variable that you call again, if you want to use that, once you have detached it, it doesn't call it again. You have to call for the data, and I will show you how to do that in the future. So basically, that is what we do to do the attaching and then the detaching. And then now, for example, when you use certain, when you borrow someone's computer and everything, and you want to, you don't want the person to copy your code or whatever, to know everything that is in your library, you can use the remove this function to get rid of everything, including the data frames. But you have to remember that it is very dangerous to do that, else it might take everything off from your computer. So if it is your personal computer you are using, it is advisable not to do that. I think this is all the introduction I can do about R.